Okay.
And how special is this house of the speaker that you have to warm it with 5 million?
What is this?
Or is there winter in Vihiga?
Can you explain?
I thought Vihiga is warmer, Senator Otsotsi, chair.
Are we giving?
Or he was using other warmers.
Are we
that
giving
we
too
don't
much
know,
money to county governments?
Yeah.
until they warm?
I think, Chair, somebody must pay this money. And you know, even this commitment by the clerk, Peris Odari, that we commit to budget the amounts in the budget for the financial year 25-26. If that commitment was there in the budget, is it in the budget of 25-26, or they have to do it in the supplementary budget? Because if the commitment was solid, then in that budget, we should be having that 9 million already budgeted for. But from my listening to the governor, you are saying that you would still negotiate with the county assembly to have it in the supplementary budget one.
Thank you, Chair. Allow me to clarify that what is still pending from the county assembly to executive is the 9 million arising from the initial 44 million that was transmitted to assembly, where they refunded 35 million, leaving 9 million outstanding. The 5 million you are referring to, Chair, 5 million you are referring to?
Just for order, Chair. You know, I'm referring to the letter dated 17th March 2025. That is on page 83. County Treasury outstanding amounts 9 million. That is what I'm referring to. Are you there? Yes. Peris Odari is saying, we acknowledge the existence of the amounts, that is 9 million, and commit to budget the amounts in the budget for financial year 25-26. Are we together? Now I'm saying that commitment is not solid, it's not real. Because then in the budget for financial year 25-26, it should have been there. But my listening, because I've not looked at the budget, my listening to the governor, you are saying that you have to negotiate. So that in the next supplementary budget, this man would be budgeted for. So
that's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, we will negotiate in the coming supplementary so that they can put in that money.
But Governor, you need to be concerned that this is systemic. It is not a one-off. And it must be brought to an end because it is an illegality.
And for the record, I don't know whether I should trust what you are telling us.
Still going on,
The
Chair.
letter from your government, Vihiga County government, is demanding payment of how much? 19 million, okay? And it says the 19 million is made up of the 14 million, okay? And the 5 million for housewarming. So when you tell us that the only outstanding amount is 9 million, it doesn't agree with the correspondence. And then in reply, the response of 17th of March is saying that we acknowledge the existence of the amount, or there is another correspondence other than the one you have annexed to us.
Chair, this letter was written on 3rd January 2024.
Is there another one?
This is a matter we have been pursuing and we continue to pursue to date. And when we wrote this letter, that was the figure then. But the Assembly has continued to make good this outstanding amount. And after the reconciliation, by the time of the audit, the figure outstanding was 9 million. The other 5 million that the chair had brought about related to an official function in terms of launching of the Speaker's House, which was official function, and that money was refunded. We can provide the evidence of refund with respect to the same.
Before the refund, can you run us through the process? The process of sending 5 million to the Speaker for his house warming. What's the decision process? You sat down in cabinet, a paper is presented, the Speaker is warming his house, he needs 5 million to do so, we send it to him. Give us the flow. Or is it the CEO or CC just deciding, let's send 5 million to the Assembly?
Ordinarily, Chair, it is initiated by a request from the assembly, that is the clerk and the speaker.
Are we able to get evidence of that?
Yes, we should be able to provide.
Does it exist, or it is going to be created?
It exists, Chair, not be created, it exists.
Fine, after the
In
request,
that case, the request is made to the CCM in charge of finance and economic planning,
correct?
who ideally seeks the approval of the county executive, and if they're in agreement, we now disburse the funds. For that activity, ordinarily, Chair, for it to happen, the assembly draws from the same revenue fund with the executive.
No, just a minute. Let's go slowly. There are 5 transfers here: 38 million, 6 million, 15 million, 2 million, and 5 million, all cumulative 66 million. Are you able to demonstrate that the law was followed in all these transfers, or they fall in the same WhatsApp group as the one that we've prosecuted from deposits and retentions?
Chair,
If I was to send the Auditor General or EACC to look for the paper trail to support the 66 million and to confirm that it was lawful and prudent, will there be evidence?
Chair, some of them are related, like the 38 is related to the 6. Remember, the OAG said total figure was 44 million.
No, they can't be related. They are different dates. They are different transfers.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different transfers, 66 million. And that's why I'm saying it's systemic. It's not just something that happened once. But if it's happening every other time, we would be happy to see whether you have put in place a process to ensure that it is not abused. Does that evidence exist?
In the current status, Chair, that is the system we've put in place
For the
it to be
6,
done.
for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for the ones that you've attached here, remembering that this is your document, are we able to support through documentation that already exists, not the one that is going to be created, how these transfers and how the decisions were made?
Yes, Chair, I may not guarantee for all of them, but I'm assuring the Senate that in the current situation...
So you're talking of going forward. So we need to deal with this because this is an offense. You agree that we need to prescribe because we have done enough tests and diagnosis. Now it is time for prescription.
I agree, Chair.
Honorable members, what is prescription?
In addition, the governor did not answer the basis and the justification, because you asked a question, are we giving them too much money until they decide to give us women? So I need, in anything, Chair, and to the governor, is there must be proper justification, even if it is legal, even if it is an official function. But the point is, give 5 million for the Speaker House housewarming, which the CCM has said that it is an official function. Is there a threshold on how public money should be used? And I think that should be the question. If today there is no drugs in where we were, what is the name of that place, near Nyangori, and the Speaker wants to do housewarming, do you buy drugs in Nyangori Center, or you give the Speaker 5 million for housewarming just before Christmas? And if the Speaker wanted to see when Jesus was born in your hearts, you no longer need to celebrate. So the question is, where is the justification of releasing 5 million? And I've been listening to this. He has not given us the train of the justification of 5 million to the Speaker's housewarming. If they can give us the justification, Governor, sorry, Chair, for that. If the people of Vihiga today listen, that the Speaker was given 5 million for housewarming, even if it is an official function, do you think, out of humanity, do you think they will agree with what happened? Do you think it is fair? Do you think it is justifiable? Do you think it is moral? So, Chair, I think on this one, we must pronounce themselves, and in my own opinion, it should be directed that they should refund this money. People who used on service and everything, this money must be refunded. This 5 million. It is not justifiable spending.
Are you not worried that under the circumstances, even oversight will be blood? How does the assembly oversight and ask questions when you're the ones who financed their last party?
I don't know the documentation here, but what I know is that the function that took place at the Speaker's place was the official.
Point of order, Chair. The governor is a former member of parliament. When he took an oath, he owned this documentation. So when he say, I don't know which documentation do you have, you know, Governor, somebody might think I'm manufacturing. Can you own first the document? This is what you submitted.
Yes.
Then you are a man of letters. Can you choose carefully your words?
I apologize for that because what I know is that the money that was given was for the official opening of the Speaker's house. That's what I know, but the writing here,
Governor, the narration here.
The narration here.
The narration is borrowing to finance Speaker's house warming. That is a narration in your documents. And Governor, you are a long-serving member of Parliament, and you have a fairly good record in public service. The reason why I keep asking, what is the process? What is the procedure? Where are the decisions made? Perhaps people are bypassing you and doing these things. But at the end of the day, you are the one who ends up looking like a clown for sending money to the assembly for housewarming. So please go back. Before we prescribe the stiffest sanctions, you must also go back and take administrative action. Because it makes you look bad. When it is reported that you're taking money from contractors, first of all, to go to car loans and mortgages for members. That might not be too alarming, but you are still taking money from contractors, deposits and retentions, and giving the assembly to throw parties. A housewarming for the Speaker's residence. 5 million Kenya shillings for housewarming. It is unacceptable. Unless the has gotten to the point where you have drugs in hospitals, then at that point we'll stop believing Senator Sotsi, because sometimes he tells us that there are problems in markets, there are problems in hospitals, there are problems with water. I think Senator Sotsi is giving us the wrong account, because Vihiga has enough money to spend 5 million in housewarming. So it makes the governor look very bad. In fact, it makes even Senator Sotsi, even the members of County Assembly, look very bad. And I think we have some very good members of County Assembly. In fact, I thought that the Public Accounts Committee of the County Assembly would be here because we've interacted with them in the past. They've done a fairly good job. So these small things might make you look like you don't know what you're doing. Go back and take stern action. Stop this thing. It makes you look bad. We passed a law for financial autonomy of county assemblies. Please stick to it. And let's give hope to the country, because of all the important things you have said today, unfortunately, this might be the one that finds itself in Luanda Market. About the 5 million
Chair,
for housewarming.
and for your information, anasema Mugala muwe na haki mpe, Senator Otsosi was in the forefront alongside Taita Taveta, Elgeyo Marakwet, Isiolo, Vihiga, Tharaka Nithi, which when you are doing division of revenue and the fourth basis of the formula, they really begged us, literally one by one, until Vihiga was given almost additional of 400 million. Yet now, in fact, if this information had come to me before that there was 5 million for housewarming of a Speaker's residence, I would have refused to add 400 million to Vihiga. So, Governor, it cannot be that your senator is pushing us, telling us there are problems. Then when it comes to attention that there was some 5 million that was spent on the housewarming of a Speaker's residence, it's very unfortunate.
And to add to that, Chair, maybe also for the assemblies, we are giving them too much money. Maybe the 11%, 13%, 14%, and Akara is too much. Maybe we need to go by the 7%. Because if you can have a budget line of 5 million to own one house belonging to the Speaker, this is too much. Maybe even the assemblies are also getting too much money.
Senator Sotsi.
Thank you, Chair. I want to agree with the committee that I think this money must be refunded back to the county executive But my concern is on the commitment by the county assembly to pay this money. Because if I look at the letter that was done on the 17th of March, this letter is not signed by the substantive clerk. It's signed by someone called Peris Odari. So maybe on that note, the executive should tell us, is there any commitment based on this letter to repay this money to the county executive? Why didn't the substantive clerk be the one to write this letter to the county executive? Who is this Peris Odari? Is he the deputy clerk or who is he?
Yes,
Because,
he is the
I know-
deputy clerk.
You don't have substantive clerk?
There is a substantive clerk. Such a letter should be done by the substantive clerk because he is the chief accounting officer of the county assembly.
So I know this could be murky waters for you as a senator, because for both the assembly and the executive, you are their representative at the apex. So we'll also look at the financials of the county assembly. We shall deal with Odari or the clerk at that level. But at this point, there can only be two things we prescribe. One is action be taken on the illegality of transferring money from ring-fenced funds without the necessary authority. That is an offense in the Act. Number two, the accounting officer must recover the funds. The Auditor General had read to us some provision in the regulations that places that responsibility on the accounting officer. So we will not be running after Paris. We are running after the accounting officer. We'll run after Paris when we are looking at the books of the county assembly. But as we are looking at the books of the executive, that responsibility, that duty lies with the accounting officer. OAG, Patrick, you had read that provision.
Yes, we refer to it, but maybe I can look for it and read again the exact provision of the law.
But, Governor, make sure this stops. This sends the wrong message, and I wish your Secretary General was here, even though your deputy party leader is here. This should not be what ODM counties are known for. I'm not sitting here as an ODM member, I'm sitting as a chair, but I see your senator is here. Please change this narrative, do the right thing, stop this bleeding of public resources. For 5 million. Governor, you have the mic?
Yes, I think I appreciate your advice and I'll take action.
Fine, members.
Chair, on a lighter touch, I want to, you know, food is a serious matter in that region. I wanted to know whether the area senator was invited, because maybe he can also be a witness. Maybe he can tell us whether he was invited or not. You know, he's also the deputy party leader of ODM. Was he there? So that we are aware whether whether this event happened. Maybe we are discussing.
I was trying to protect him. I didn't want him to say too much about this. Were you part of the party?
No, Chair, I was indeed invited, but I did not attend because you know, because you are aware that that same house has audit queries with this committee as well.
Yeah, so I think this one allow us to be the ones to press to squeeze the boil, because definitely there's a boil there that needs to be squeezed. Now, so you're giving 5 million for a housewarming, but you've got 1.7 billion as pending bills. That's the next audit issue, long outstanding trade payables. 1.71 billion.
Yes, paragraph 5, long outstanding trade payables. The statement of financial position, and as disclosed in note 16 to the financial statements, reflects a balance of 1,710,935,139 in respect of trade and other payables. The balance includes trade payables of Kenya shillings 1,480,433,982 comprising of Kenya shillings 973,405,663 or 65% for the previous financial years, and Kenya shillings 507,028,283 or 35% of the current year. However, the county executive risks incurring additional losses in form of interest and penalties arising from continued delay in settlement of the payables. In addition, failure to settle debts during the year in which they relate distorts the financial statements and adversely affects the budgetary provisions for the subsequent year as they form a first charge. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of long outstanding payables balance of 1.7 as of 30th June 2025 could not be confirmed.
Governor?
Chair, allow me to request the Chief Officer Finance to give the response.
Thank you, Chair. The management acknowledges the auditor's observation on the above subject matter and responds as follows. At the time of preparation of the financial statements for the year under review, County Pending Bills Committee had a draft pending bills report of Kenya shillings 1,408,935,109 as captured in the financial statements. This was later verified, and Kenya shillings 1,058,675,821 determined as the correct trade payable as of 30th June 2025. This will be adjusted accordingly in the subsequent period. The County Executive of Vihiga is committed to settle these accrued payables in 2 financial years, that is by end of financial year 2026-2027. In the financial year 2025-2026, management has provided for Kenya shillings 589,477,169 in the approved supplementary budget towards settlement of pending bills. We submit, Chair.
Your numbers are not tying at all. The Auditor General is talking of 1.7, you're talking of 1.4, 1.0, and you know, under accrual reporting, your liabilities form part of your balance sheet, and by the time you disclose it, it is taken that is what you owe. So, are you disowning your financial statements, particularly your statement of financial position as at 30th of June 2025?
Chair, what happened is we had delays in the release of the exchequers for the months of May and June 2025, and the National Treasury gave a window whereby we were allowed to make payments up to 14th of July, meaning by the time an important point to note also, Chair, being the first year of reporting under accrual accounting, OAG requested that as opposed to the PFM provisions of submitting audit accounts by 30th September, this time round we submit by 30th August, which was 1 month earlier. So
CP Atemba.
Yes, Chair.
This is your statement of financial position signed by yourself and Chief Officer Planning Budget M&E. Under trade and other payables, you have reported 1.7 billion. In your response here, you have given us 2 different figures, completely different from what is in the balance sheet. So tell us what number you want us to deal with.
Chair, I submit that we go with 1,058,675 because this is what is verified by the internal pending bills committee, because the departments had not fully submitted their returns with respect to outstanding pending bills.
So therefore, your financial statements do not present a true and fair picture of the entity.
That's why, Chair, we are saying...
No. Let's. You don't have to over-explain. I want to establish a fact, then we get guidance from the Auditor General.
To that extent, Chair, we agree. And that's why we say we intend to do prior year adjustments for this financial year 2025-2026.
Auditor General?
The 1.7 billion is what is reflected in the financial statements, and it comprises of third-party payments retention of 131,382,210 and employee payables of 99,118,948, leaving trade payables at 1,480,433 58,982 as the balance. So the figure 1,058,675,821 had not been brought to at our attention.
It's a figure that is strange to you.
Yes.
So, Governor, you don't know how much you owe people, because this is the amount of money you owe people. Your officers reported 1.7 billion. Today, they are convincing us that it needs to change to 1.05 billion. That's almost 600 million. So what happened? Did you pay them during that period, or you wrote them off? Because I believe as CEO, you must know how much you owe in entirety.
That's correct. Chair, as he was explaining, we were able to pay more of the debts beyond 30th, because there was a window that was opened by Treasury for 14 days in which payments were effected, the way he was explaining. So that is how the figures were reduced to this level of 1,058 million.
So you're saying your total pending bill is now 1,058 million?
Yes, as
from
of
the
30th,
1.7 billion.
Yeah, as of 30th June 2025.
So what happened to the staff payables of 99 million? Have they also been written off?
Let the Chief Officer explain.
Honorable Chair, with your permission, the 1,058,675,881 is a clarification specifically with respect to the pending bills. The other facts remain the same with respect to retentions and other payables as outlined. But with respect to pending bills, we are correcting that the correct figure should have been 1,058 million.
Senator
Chair, this management response is indicating that at the time of preparation of financial statements of the year under review, County Pending Bills Committee had a draft pending bills report of 1.48 billion. Point me to that report, even as we answer the other questions. You've referred to a report here to assist you to answer to this query. Point me to that report.
I think that's a fair question.
Chair, that was shared with OAG then. That's why
but OAG is saying that figure is strange to them.
No, the first one. What the Honorable Senator is asking is the first one. 1,480,935,139. That one, OAG admits that was
Chair, you have indicated that in the financial statements, the pending bills are 1.7 billion. But you are saying they reduced because of two things. Because of a report of a task force, and because we are given a window by Treasury to pay up to, I think, 15th July.
Correct.
So, in answering this query, should give us two things. Report of the task force, and number two, what you paid in that window. Then you balance them out. Yes.
And strangely, this is one of the responses where you have not put in appendices. The only appendix is a supplementary budget. You've not put in any schedule to confirm what Senator Maruma is asking.
Thank you, Chair. I can give clarification on that. Those reports are available, and in our engagement with OAG before we came here, they said we cannot table them here because they have to verify them when they come back for audit.
So what we must agree on the way forward. The reason you come here is for us to consider this report and take a resolution to the House. You have not provided evidence to convince us as Senate that that figure has dropped from the 1.48 billion to 1.058 billion. What do you expect us to do? We are supposed to go and tell the House. We are either telling the House that Vihiga knows how much it owes its debtors, or Vihiga has no idea what it owes. The numbers keep changing every day.
Thank you, Chair. With respect to the report of 1,058,675,821, this report is available and owned by the committee. And if the Senate gives us time...
Where is it?
We have
available and owned by the committee?
The committee. We have a committee.
Which committee?
We have an internal committee dedicate.
Those are yours.
Correct.
We're talking about the Senate as an institution.
Correct. So this report is the report is available, and you are able to share with the committee if directed to do so, Chair.
CPA Tunga, advisors, these members of your profession, they have just said that the balance sheet that is presented here is inaccurate. They have given all sorts of reasons, and they have proposed to make adjustments in subsequent periods. But this is a critical, this is a very, very important subject, because it is money owed to people who supplied goods and services, that it cannot be changing. Remember in the morning when we were talking to Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, we agreed that once it's locked in the balance sheet, then it shouldn't change. What's your professional advice?
Thank you, Chair and members. Looking at the audit query in hand, the response has not addressed the audit query. So it's just imperative that the audit query, that the figure they are talking about should be addressed in totality, so that we get a reconciliation of the same. They are the same professionals, so they are our members, and I can confirm they are in good standing. So the question should be, if at all you did some payment within that 2 weeks window period that you are given, ordinarily you should just avail the same list to the auditors, and then they will be able to give you a clean bill, because the auditors have confirmed that the issue is not addressed. So if it's not addressed, whatever they have has to be given to the auditors to confirm the same. And from the professional perspective, then it does not portray a good picture to us as your regulator.
We hand them over to you when the disciplinary committee.
I think so. I think so. And you know, Chair.
Senator Morgan?
Yeah. Auditor General, who is supposed to do auditing of these pending bills? I thought it was supposed to be the office of the Auditor General. That is number one. And number two, I'm not an auditor, but this should be a fairly easy question to answer. If the financial statements show that the pending bills are 1.71 billion, and you are saying you want to bring them down to 1.058 billion, then you can show a report that shows the eligible pending bills are these, the ineligible pending bills are these, and so you subtract from 1.7 billion, and then give us the list of what you paid, the payments made in the 15 days from 1st July to 15th July, what you paid, and then you add. That is not even in accounting, that is just arithmetics of class 4 or grade 4, grade 5. So I think, I'm not very sure, Chair, if the audit of the pending bill is supposed to be done by a task force, by the county government. I thought it's supposed to be by OAG, but I can be corrected.
Order, Senator Gatai. You know, I'd assume that you are with us from the very first meeting. Please go on record. Please go on record.
If Senator Mwenda Gatai, Mufai, Tharaka-Nithi County and member of this committee, Chair, sorry for coming late. You know, I was engaged to some very serious national issues. We are trying to bring odium to the system. We want to form.
Please take note that Senator Osotsi is sitting here and is a deputy party leader of ODM. So, manene ODM to achieve Osotsi.
No, we have ratified the solution as a national governing council.
Karibu. Lakini ile shida tunayo, Governor, and the accountants can explain it in many, many ways. You cannot not know with certainty what you owe. It should not change, because this audit was signed off in December. Between December and today, the 26th of January, it should not have changed by 600 million or, Chief Officer, it has changed by how much? How many millions? Hundreds of millions. Sorry?
It's about 400 million, Chair.
400 million. And in your view, is it because you paid that 400? Or you dismissed some?
As I said, Chair, the main difference is coming in because of the window that was given by National Treasury between 1st and 15th July. And ordinarily, after payments, these files normally go back to departments to reconcile their pending bills before now they hand over to this task force committee. Then also, Chair, let me also clarify, the 1.7 that the Senate is discussing is not pending bills in total, just as OAG shared. Part of it is retention amount. But we are zeroing into 1,058,000,000 because now that is the pending bills. But that doesn't mean we have done away with the retention. The retention figure of 131 still remains as stated in the
and the
financial
staff
statements.
payables of 99 million, that did not change with that window that was opened.
Yes, come again, please.
There's a 99 million
Yes.
as staff payables.
Yes.
And I'm assuming those are statutory deductions, pensions, all those things.
Yes.
There's a 99 million here. That did not move
That did
during
not,
that window.
That did not change because some of them are historical chair, where you find Lab Fund or these other organizations claim counties, not only Viga, or the money, which is still in contention from our end. Because sometimes you find they are lumping their interests that we are not in agreement with. So those ones did not change. What only changed are pending bills that were paid during those 2 weeks window.
Now, OAG, what do you advise us to do here? Because this gentleman has changed his numbers. So we are arguing, we are discussing from a very flimsy foundation.
Chair, I want to raise an issue. The money paid from Treasury came, excuse me, came before the preparation of the statements. I am wondering why they did not adjust the balances, because they paid up to 14th July. The statements were made by 30th August. What happened in between the two, the 1 month?
So that's a valid question. What's your response?
Chair, as I explained, after payment, there is verification. And that verification process is what took a bit of time. And ordinarily, by the time the verification exercise was complete, we had already gotten into now almost the audit period, almost through with the audit period. And that is why the numbers are changing almost after the audit.
Really, as an accountant, CPA Tunga, is it acceptable for a client to come before Parliament and justify why numbers are changing drastically? And I thought this was the reason why we're moving from cash to accrual, the reason why we are progressing in terms of standards. We must agree on what we must accept and what we cannot accept.
Chair, maybe this one will go maybe to the county government executive, the governor, because clearly, as my colleagues, even the colleagues will confirm, it is that where you cannot make a payment, then you verify later on. So if you tell the committee that you are it was a verification, if you have already made a payment, then you are supposed to account for the same. It should appear in the books of accounts by 30th August, so that it will not have been an issue for the auditors. So maybe there is an aspect of missing gaps in understanding of the, not necessarily the new approach, but just what is expected of them as professionals. Thank you.
I think in the morning with the Accounting Standards Board, we agreed that they must cause counties to attach that annexure that details all the outstanding payables. It used to be there previously as some Annex 2, but now it is not here. So we have no visibility. We can't tell on that schedule, even if it's aged, we cannot, I think it's just above over 3 years. It's aging from under 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, and over 3 years. That over 3 years, you find sometimes you've got debt that is 10 years old. So we agreed with the board that they're going to send a circular to counties to provide that disclosure. Because now you can see, honorable members, that the clever people in counties will run rings around us. If there is no detailed schedule, it's going to be an issue of argument between professionals. This gentleman is a CPA, ISPAC is here, who is the certifying body, and they don't seem to speak the same language, simply because the details are not with us. So we had agreed with this, with the board in the morning. I think we foresaw this confusion, that counties must disclose the full schedule of whatever is still pending. So, Senator Osotsi, do you now have a good idea, feeling, on how much your county owes suppliers? Are you able to pick a number and say with authority that from this exercise, it is 1.7 or 1.05 or it is 1.4?
Chair, okay. One, I must say that the figure of pending bills must not be shifting. We must be very clear on what is the total pending bills at any given time. But also, on another note, Chair, I have seen a schedule. This is Appendix 5, which gives a breakdown for the pending bills in the supplementary budget, coming to 589 million, which is going to be paid this year, and hopefully next financial year, which is 2026-2027, hopefully they clear the balance that will be remaining. That is subject to determination of the correct position of pending bills. My concern is this 589. I wish I had the benefit to look at the entire supplementary budget. Recently, when we pushed for more money, I think 5 of us here, we said that money should be ring-fenced for critical areas like health, water, and other critical areas. But it seems that part of that money is being used to pay pending bills, which now defeats the purpose of why Senate fought so hard to give more money to the small counties. So maybe the county executive should clarify to us that out of the additional 400 million that we gave to Vihiga specifically, how much of that money has gone into pending bills? Because I would expect that that money should have been ring-fenced for key sectors and not in paying pending bills. Because we are going to pay 400 million to Vihiga County for the next 5 years, extra money. So if all that money will go into pending bills, then it defeats the purpose of Senate having given affirmative action to the small counties, at least to give them leeway for development. So I just want to know how much of this 589 is from the 400 million.
Governor, are you aware of that conversation that we had in the Senate that led to your county getting more money?
Yes, I'm aware. And what I want to say is that, yes, with the time we can be able to provide the information the Honorable Senator is asking. And also, I would like to observe that even the pending bills we are paying with this money, quite a number of those pending bills are in health, where new health centers or health facilities have been built but had not been paid. Equally, we have built many ECD classrooms which had not been paid for. So as much as we are paying to pending bills, but they are achieving the same goal that was approved by the Senate when this money was given.
Senator, how did we bring the conversation down to the county? Because, you know, when we passed the resolution, we said that now the counties should ring fence. But was there a follow-up or implementation mechanism to compel the county to do the ring fencing? Because they would argue that budgeting is done at the county assembly.
We are a bit handicapped there because, you know, budgeting is done by county assembly in consultation with the county executive. But the submission by members was that for the small counties which are not able to enjoy development because of their low budget, that money being ring-fenced for at least doing development projects so that they are visible on the ground. For example, you remember Senator Khalwale raising the issue about the small road from Eregi to Chavakali. which Kakamega County has done its bit, just a small section remaining. And because of that example that Khalwale gave, we were very sympathetic to small counties. And we said we need to give them more money, additional money, at least to do something. But it looks like, I don't know what is happening in Tharaka-Nithi and Taita Taveta.
Yeah,
looks like that money now is being diverted to other things like paying pending bills, which now defeats the thinking of the Senate.
Actually, let me just show you where the money is going on this report.
Yes.
Maybe after, so that we move to the next matter. But first of all, Senator Marum.
Well, before you go there, because I'm one of the beneficiaries, my county is one of the beneficiaries, we did indicate during our discussion that the senator and the governor, or the governor out of good faith, can invite the senator to a sitting and decide on the nature of the project, a life-changing project that can be undertaken in the county, because there has been lack of maybe big projects as a result of the small allocations. I don't know if it has happened in Vihiga, but in Taita Taveta, it has not happened.
Yeah, so we should have put in an implementation mechanism for that, because for Vihiga to get more, I think that those who are arguing that for Vihiga to get more, it means Homa Bay is getting less. But we were sympathetic, we all supported it. But I want to demonstrate where the money is going to. Let's go to non-compliance with the law on fiscal responsibility. I think for us just to move forward, we will come back on pending bills. I think we have there are serious doubts, and we are asking the OAG to sit with the county to verify the numbers that they intend to amend in their balance sheet. Do that verification so that at our next implementation follow-up, you can advise us whether they are doing the right thing and whether they have proper clarity on pending bills. Secondly, there was the resolution that the House passed on settlement of pending bills. We shall also make that recommendation, that you go as per that recommendation. But now, on fiscal responsibility, you are spending 52% on total receipts on salaries. And Osotsi and the Senate brought you 400 million more. Is it also going to salaries? Or it's going to do something that is transformational? I think on this one of fiscal responsibility, Governor, this is a conversation you can just tell us, what are you doing about this? The law requires you to be at 35%, but you're at 52% of total receipts. What are the conversations in Vihiga on reducing this to what the law requires?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it's true that our wage bill is high, but there is reasons why this has gone to that level. And I would like to have the Director of Human Resources to give some of the actions we are taking to bring this wage bill down.
Yeah, please. Your written response is 2 pages long with almost 10 appendices. So I think we can say we take note of the written response so that your officer can just highlight the key initiatives that can allow us to move faster.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. I think there are a few measures that are key in relooking at the whole issue of spiraling wage bill. One of the issues the County Executive Committee has done, it has put a freeze on employment because the County Executive Committee has directed that we need to look at the skills and competencies within the county vis-a-vis the core mandate of the various departments, so that we can now come up with a rationalized way of staffing to know where do we have the excesses, where do we have the core skills and all that. Secondly, the county also, initially we had an organizational structure that was not really functional based, so it has revised the organizational structure and also revised the staff establishment so that there is more focus on the core areas that align with the mandates of county governments. And then thirdly, previously we've been having issues with the basis for decision making on human resource management, and we have invested heavily in the digitization of human resource records so that we have real-time data to inform human resource decisions. We have also, the County Executive Committee has also resolved to prioritize filling vacancies from within. We give the first opportunity to serving staff for readjustment in their position through internal advertisement, so that it also helps us curb the issue of wage bill. And overall, there is a County Public Service Board Act which was enacted, which has also mainstreaming key issues to control on staff matters, including putting clear measures that the board should observe when they're handling staff issues, so that we can align the intentions of devolution to issues of staffing in the county. Thank you.
So you have started your written response by disputing the percentage presented by the Auditor General. Could you indicate why you don't agree with the OAG?
Yes, the percentage initially it had been indicated as 52, but upon the relooking at the figures, our accounts confirmed that the figure that was forming the denominator for the computation of the staff percentage of the wage bill was not correct. That's why it's restated as indicated.
OAG, you used the wrong base for computing wage bill?
No, because the figure on employee costs is 2.7 billion against the total receipts. Total receipts in cash, which exceeds the set limit.
So this is something that two accountants, even if they went to different schools, should not disagree on. What should be the denominator? Where is 5.75 coming from? What's the source of the 5.75? And here, statement of financial performance for the year ended 30th June. Total revenue is 5.29. In this financial statement signed by Keverenge and James Atemba.
Chair, the amended financial statement that we submitted to the OAG had receipts of 5.7 as indicated in the cash flows and budget and actual comparison statements.
So are we looking at the wrong financial statement? Because if you earlier on disowned your balance sheet, now you are disowning your statement of financial performance. If we cannot go by those two, then we have nothing to discuss. Where is 5.7 in the financial statements attached to the OAG's report? OAG, you can help us. Because I'm seeing 5.2 here, but that gentleman says that they gave you revised financials, putting revenue at 5.7.
Yes, Chair. If you look at the statement of financial performance for the year, total revenue received was 5,298,479,710.
Correct, that's what I have here.
If you take the figure employee cost, note 7 in the statement of financial performance is 2,790,128,784. So if you divide those two figures, the percentage is 52.66%.
So where is this other figure coming from? The one that they're introducing of 5.751 billion?
Chair,
where is it in these financial statements?
Chair, if you can go to the query that follows the long-outstanding trade payable, that is budget, control, and performance, you will see the query well stated, the actual revenue at 5.7 billion.
Is that actual revenue or that's budgeted revenue?
Actual 5.7 is actual and budgeted was 6.3 against actual of 5.7.
That is in the query.
In the query. And
in your financial statements, show me that column or that row with 5.7.
I think the...
No, it's not about thinking. It's just telling me go to page 1 or 2 or 3. Because I can see 5.298, I can see 2.790. The figures cannot reside in your head. They must be in the financial statement. Because you have opened your response by disputing the OAG's assessment. So I'm just giving you an opportunity to convince us that your version is the truth and not the OAG's.
Chair, if you look at the statement of comparison of budget and actual amounts, in reference to what he's saying, there is the opening balance, which is 452 million from the previous financial year. But apparently, the base year is the current year under review.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that we need to add the 452 to
No.
the
No.
to the receipts for the year?
No. This is money that there was no effort in that year in generation of that level.
Tunga, Ispak, you have certified these two gentlemen. So help us. How can two accountants have different interpretations of the same fact? Lawyers are allowed to, but not accountants.
Chairman, I'm also at a loss because you see, figures don't lie, and we should actually deal with the guidelines on how it's supposed to be done. So basically, either there is a little understanding of the audit queries and the answers are not satisfactory, because I've been following the discussion and there is that gap that as you have rightly put to him, there are figures in the head and the figures are supposed to be in black and white for members to see. So there is a missing link somewhere in terms of professionalism. Maybe I'll pick it with my...
I think if it requires capacity building or CPDs and those things, because this now is looking untidy. The governor of Vihiga, I mean, you're a professional who is well respected, so you cannot have these kind of situations around you where figures cannot be explained. Because if you tell me that your revenue was 5.7, I will ask you to show me how you utilized it. It can't be a hypothetical figure. Senator Marum.
Yeah, I'm also at a loss, Chair, because in that page 6 of the certificate under budgetary control and performance, the auditor also is making the same finding that the actual revenue was 5,751,275,738. So if that is the actual revenue, that should be the denominator against 2.790 billion. So why did you use the other denominator that you used of about 5.3 as you're indicating? Because if you made that finding, I don't know where you got that from, that the actual revenue is 5.75. That should be the denominator in which you would compute the compliance with fiscal responsibility.
And it's not like it helps your case. Even if you shift the denominators, you are still on 48.5% and not 52%. So it does not help you. And I even wonder why you introduced that argument, because now it's making you look like you don't know what you're doing. Because it doesn't change. It does not reduce it to 35 in any case. But it's the first paragraph you have emphasized. You came fighting that, no, the Auditor General is not telling the truth, it's different. But we can't establish it. OAG.
When we are looking at that fiscal responsibility, we base it on statement of financial performance of the entity during the year under review. So if there were other balances that came from previous years, those was not as a result of performance of the entity. So you cannot say, you cannot tie the effectiveness of revenue collection against previous balances which were brought forward. So it cannot form the denominator of determining this percentage in terms of performance during the financial year.
Chief Officer, are you aligned, or you still think this is a matter that requires interpretation?
Chair, we agree with his observations, but what the Honorable Senator pointed out is what led, I think, to that confusion of shifting, because at one point, OAG is telling us our revenue is 5.7, but you see at the other point, it's 5 point, but we are in agreement with the position they have taken, that we should only base on where we've demonstrated effort to raise revenue for that particular year. So we are in agreement, Chair.
Yeah, you are trying to be clever, because for fiscal responsibility, you want to take a bigger figure. But then for other things like pending bills, you want to take a smaller figure to show how squeezed you are. Now, if we are not agreeing on numbers, how do we even proceed to prosecute this? Because the gentleman has raised several measures. The question would be, what would be the effect of those measures? Is it going to reduce your wage bill by 1%, 2%, 10%? Because you need to reduce it by, is that 40%? For it to come to 35. They are at 50. They need to come to 35. What percentage reduction is required to move from 50 to 35? Huh?
17%.
Say? 17%.
And maybe, Chair, even as we query that, Chief Officer, after that increment that we're talking about 400 million, I think Viga got about 600, 700 million increment. And if you've not added salaries, if you've not done new employment, how does the percentage now on fiscal responsibility sit? Have you tried to compute?
If you check our current budget, we're also expecting to receive some funding from the donor funds, which, like in the last financial year, close to 600 million that we expected to come, didn't come, and that also affected that base. So even as we do that, we can only hope that in the current financial year, all the envisaged funding that we expect from the donor funds will be able to be realized.
I'm not very sure, Chair, if we also use the donor funds to compute our revenues, because that then would be a moving target. We only use shareable revenue and on-source revenue. Yeah, otherwise if you got donor funding, the flock and so on, it would really be moving and you can't compare years.
Senator Osotsi?
I wanted to raise a slightly different matter on that. I don't know whether you...
Yeah. Because I'm looking at the time, I want us to move much faster.
Yes, you see, Chair, looking at the recommendations that the officer is recommending to reduce the wage bill, to me they look more general policy issues with very little impact on the wage bill. For example, when you say development and enactment of Vihiga County Public Service Board Act, that's a general HR policy strategy and not direct impact on the wage bill. What I wanted to hear from the officer through the governor is, Chair, you are aware that the OAG conducted payroll audits I think he did for Vihiga as well, for 2023, 2024. And there were a raft of recommendations that OAG recommended. So I expected the officer to dwell more on the status of implementation of those recommendations, because we had issues like payroll irregularities, where money was paid to staff in excess of what they are supposed to be getting. So, you know, that fundamentally affects the wage bill level. So those are the specifics I expected him to tell this committee, that yes, we had a payroll audit for 2023, 2024. These were the recommendations, and this is what we are doing in terms of implementing the recommendation of OAG. He was silent on that, and I think that will fundamentally help in reducing the wage bill rates as it is now.
Yeah, in the last session, we had planned to invite several governors whose wage bill were above 50% to respond to that report by the OAG. Time ran out, but we must cause just a special meeting on that, because if 50% of your revenue is going to salaries, then you are as good as insolvent. The Parliamentary Budget Office has done some analysis.
Thank you so much, Chair. Chair, what the audit has done was just to pick the revenue they reported in the financial performance and divide the total employees' cost. So that's the revenue they have reported. The 5.2 billion is just national transfer. So they have not reported in that revenue performance the OSR. So if you factor in that 5.2 billion to the OSR, which they have reported 398 million, then the wage bill becomes 49% from 52 to 49. So that the revenue they have reported there is just national transfers, exclusive of the OSR. So now what the audit has reported is 52%, but if you factor that component of OSR, then the wage bill percentage drops to 49%. Thank you. Still
far above 35%. It does not solve the problem. So this matter, because time will not allow us to deal with it, we are going to schedule a meeting where we are going to look at the report of the Auditor General and the payroll audit that they did in the other financial year. So we keep this in view, but we must also agree on the standards. Because PBO is now bringing another angle that on-source revenue should be brought in. You are arguing that prior year balances should have been brought in, and OAG is saying that only the effort of the year should be considered. I believe we need to have one basis for computation of this amount. And I think the next time also, Governor, when you come and do this long presentation, also give us an impact analysis. That once we do all these things, we expect that our wage bill will have reduced by 5–10%. Otherwise, it just and for you to move from 50 to 35%, then you must be at around 1.8 billion, not 2.7 billion. So it's not a 17% drop; it's a 33% drop. You must reduce your expenditure by 33% on employees. Will increase the revenue by almost a similar margin. Please don't keep that problem so that it can be inherited by the next governor. Fix it. Because I can see you are looking at your senator like he will fix it.
But also, Chair, this issue of this percentage, fiscal responsibility cannot be addressed fully without dealing with the denominator. And you can deal with the denominator and increase it by increasing the on-source revenue. In fact, what should have been included in this long narrative are ways in which you can increase our on-source revenue, including, but not limited to, updating of the valuation roll. The valuation roll that we're using now as Vihiga, when was it last updated? If we update it, how much are you expecting to collect? What about automation of revenue collection? How much are you collecting, and how much are you maybe expecting to to collect after full automation. These are the things I thought I would see from here. And also, if you had inherited staff from the former local authorities and they are retiring, you can say we are electing not to replace them, because then they are supposed to be rendered redundant and so on, Chair.
Thank you. So I think those are just suggestions that can help enrich your response, but we'll have that meeting just on HR, because where you are, it does not look good. I want us to try and finish the other HR issues: staff ethnic diversity, recruitment plan, 1/3 basic salary rule. We will take your responses in writing and make our recommendations on the basis of your written responses. Non-adherence to climate change and financing requirements. Chair CPIC, I believe the Climate Change Fund reports come to your committee.
Yes, Chair.
So I believe some of these issues would be best addressed at that level.
Climate change and hospitals.
And hospitals.
Yeah.
So, Auditor General, do you think this will form part of your report on the Vihiga Climate Change Fund? These issues you have raised here on climate change and financing requirements?
Yes. Yes, but since the issue is more of in the county executive, although the fund is also under the county executive, I think the CPEC can handle it.
Because if this is expenditure from the fund, then it would be neater for Senator Ososi to deal with it at that level. If it's a line budget item, then we can deal with it.
Okay.
So advise us, is it a line budget item, or these are drawings from the climate change fund?
It was not more of the projects that were handled under the climate change. That 253 million is the one that brought up all these compliance issues that have been raised in Lawman number 1 to Lawman number 8.
Governor, this 253 million, is it your transfer to the fund, or this is another budget that is outside your county climate change fund?
The climate change, we have a climate change flock-up funding, which is separate from our normal regular budget.
So the question I'm asking is whether these eight issues raised by the Auditor General, they relate to FLOCA and the other activities that draw from the climate change fund.
Yes.
If Auditor General, you confirm that, because if that is the assurance, then we can let the Public Investments Committee deal with this.
Yes, confirm.
Okay, fine. So this one, clerks, this one will be dealt with substantively by PIC. Hospital Plaza, Governor, is this the one we've been discussing over the years?
Yes.
It is incomplete despite 223 million already spent on the project. The finding there is fairly long, and I can see your response is also very detailed. You have a very, very detailed response there with 5 appendices. So let's start from the global. For 223 million, do you have a hospital plaza?
Yes, we do have, but it's not now operationalized. And allow me to ask the Chief Officer in charge of health to give you a general overview of where we are as of now.
Okay. And explain why it was not complete within a period of 3 years. Considering that you started in 2021, it should have been completed by 2024. 223 million has been spent so far out of a total contract sum of 395 million. What is the problem? Or it is not a priority project?
Thank you, Chair. This is a priority to the county, and I want to confirm that the works are ongoing and they will be completed by May this year. The contractor applied for extension period, and he gave several reasons why he needed the time extended, and the team sat and approved, and we can confirm that great progress has been done so far. If you look at the photos, we are almost done. Thank you.
Photos are never a reliable method of measuring progress. I think there's usually a much more technical document beside photos. Is it certificate of works? Auditor General, when you're auditing, do you just look at photos and say that, this is good?
No, we check the certificate issued by the Public Works, certified certificate that have shown the percentages of the work done, what paid and what has not been paid.
So did you have a look at the Appendix 11A, application for extension by the contractor? Was that presented to you at the time of audit?
No.
It wasn't?
But subsequently it was provided, it was sent yesterday.
It was sent yesterday?
Yes.
That's new evidence, Governor. You cannot send something yesterday and come to convince us today about it. Why, if this thing was signed a long time ago, why wasn't it presented to the auditor? Or your guys were tidying up some loose ends?
I think I would like to the chief officer to say, to react to that, because it should have been provided.
Yeah, why is this extension coming last night? It is dated 24th of February 2025. When was that? There is a Monday. And it is 26th. A contract was done on Saturday. Is it Monday today? Oh, that was 2025. 2025. We are in 2026. Fine. So if this was executed on 24th of February 2025, why did the auditor get it only last night? Let's start from there.
Chair, the file for the plaza is very huge, and the document was in the file, only that just an error of not locating it quickly.
In such a situation, wouldn't this be one of the most important documents, because it forms the basis for continued engagement with the contractor? Why would it be the last thing to find? That is not, with a lot of respect, officer. Please give us a better explanation. We are waiting.
Chair, we have that document in the file, but the file is very huge. And we kept perusing through the document, I think just not locating it in good time. And that's why we had to redo this one.
Who is a custodian of contracts in the county? Or maybe, let's see, who are the signatories here? Or maybe just take us through it so that we know that we know what we are dealing with. Application for extension of time, proposed construction of the Higa Referral Hospital. We, Marks Investment Limited, blah, blah, blah. Who's Catherine Nyachama?
Chair, Catherine Nyachamwe is the director for Marks Construction Limited, who is doing the plaza.
Who's Wesley Asubwa?
Chair, Wesley Asubwa is the chairman for the contract implementation team.
Is he an employee of the county?
Yes, he is, Chair.
And so he could not remember where the documents he signed are. What is the problem with this contract? That it could not be given to the auditor? Not even 7 days in advance. Last night. And you see, that's why we are flying blind, because the auditor has not perhaps looked at it sufficiently, because you thought you'd come and convince us with photos. So, Governor, why can you? I don't know whether you asked your officers this question, but could you offer us an explanation why this contract had to come last night, and yet this audit query required it?
I believed that the document was there. So,
no, but does she confirm that it was sent last night? Do you confirm it was sent last night?
Yes, I confirm.
So, you see, this is what you call a smoking gun. A contract that is withheld during audit, it is not provided. During follow-up, it is not provided. It is brought one day to a meeting. First of all, it is inadmissible because our timelines were very clear, 7 days to a meeting. Now, I don't know what you guys make of it, but when I come across such scenarios, I get convinced that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, maybe just ask the governor who caused the delay between the county government and the contractor. And we want also to be sure, because the query is indicating that there is a risk of cost escalation. We want to be sure if there is no variation of the contract due to loss of time. Please indicate to us if there is any variation that has been requested and who caused the delay.
Yes?
One of the challenges we have faced on this hospital plaza is being able to get money to pay, to fund it, because it's internally funded through our exchequer. And so that's where we have had a lot of problems. And when we have not paid certificates to the contractor always stopped working until he's paid. And because of the sometimes delays in the exchequer disbursements, this has been a problem. But the biggest problem we have had is the budgeting, because we have had to get it from our budget, which has been a big challenge.
Governor, who's Dr. Mary Susan Anyenda?
She's the one.
Doctor, you're the one. You're the one who signed this letter of 16th of May 2024.
Yes, Chair.
Granting, having reviewed the reasons, you are hereby granted the 12-month extension as requested under the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. And you signed this letter on 16th of May 2024. And on the same limb, you are telling us that the files were so bulky you couldn't remember where the contract was filed. Are we being honest? Are we being honest? What is the problem with this contract that we should be treated to this, Governor? Or should we come to look for, should we come fishing for the problem? Because there must be a problem. Dr. How do you explain that it is your signature here? You are the accounting officer. You are the one who was required to respond to this. And yet you chose to produce this last night.
Chair, as I had said earlier, I wasn't able to locate the letter from the big file.
So this one you signed, you didn't even have a copy somewhere. This one that is signed in blue biro by you. Even this one you signed and then it got lost.
Allow me to request the...
Sorry, this is your signature. I think let's first deal with this because it's, and you're a doctor, medical doctor?
No.
PhD?
Yes.
Are you a member of any professional body?
Yes.
Which one?
Australia.
Which means?
It's a research institute.
Okay, but not the ISPAC, not a statutory body, not ISPAC, not LSK, not supply chain?
No.
Yeah, so how can you have signed a letter giving the green light for contract extension, which there is nothing wrong with it? There's really nothing wrong, because you have cited the relevant sections of the law. And then you hide this thing until the day before a meeting with the Senate. If there was nothing funny or shady you were doing, why keep it until the day to a meeting? I am sorry, we are generally cynical because you have seen a lot of bad things in the county. You need to convince us why the auditor was there from October, November, December, including parts of January, that it is only last night that you found this contract. Gentlemen, is it that my sugar levels are low? Or
What is the law on safekeeping of documents? What does the law requires of you in terms of keeping and availing documents to auditors? Do you have a legal obligation? Huh?
Yes.
Do you know it's an offense?
Yes.
If you decline to give documents to auditors?
Yes.
You know it's an offense?
Yes.
So in this case, didn't you commit an offense? We begin from there. Because as lawmakers, we want to ensure that the law is being followed to the letter. Didn't you break the law in this instance?
Yes.
So, Chair, at least the beauty is that we are both on the same page, that the law was not complied with in this instance. Because there was a deliberate act of refusing to give documents to the auditors.
I was a bit hesitant to squeeze Dr. into a corner so that she does not think that this is personal. That's why I keep asking, is there an institutional problem that caused you not to provide this earlier and just, last night? Earlier on, Senator Sotsi was praising the software solutions in Vihiga County. But with all those advancements, an important contract like this cannot be found until the date of a meeting. So yeah, we might hold Dr. personally liable, but there seems to be a bigger institutional problem. Governor, have you asked yourself that question, or are you part of that problem?
I would say that I'm not part of that problem, but because I am the governor, I'm the one responsible in the final end. So whatever mistake or whatever oversight or whatever may have happened, eventually squarely comes to me. And it's something that I have to deal with.
Okay, Senator Maruma. And I think clerks, sergeant at arms, if my sugar levels are this low, make sure the governor also has some tea and some refreshment that can push us up to 5.
Yes, Chair. I don't know. I know this project was conceived when you were in office, because this is May 2021. And I think the people of Vihiga needed this hospital plaza. And they want to start using this hospital plaza. Now you are saying that it is not complete. It is delayed, ostensibly because of late exchequer releases. But if you are to have a rolling budget of 395 million, you must have had those projections that would begin financing it from this financial year, this is the budget, and in subsequent years, you also budget for it. So, what has intervened so much so that you're not able to provide budgets in good time? Because if there's a late exchequer release, then when the year ends, you're supposed to do a supplementary budget, and you budget for it and pay. When you start a project in 2021 and in 2026, the residents of Vihiga are not using that project, then there's the value for money issue. What is the explanation that you're giving? And Chair, the other question was not answered adequately. Is there a variation of this project as alluded to by the auditor, that there could be an escalation of costs owing to loss of time?
Okay. Governor or your officers?
I will react to one, and then the other I will ask the officer in charge. The challenge you have had on budgeting, what we have said is true. We had worked out a way that from our budget, with budget within 3 years would have finished. But the challenge we have had is that every time we make the budget and we take it to the assembly, they always vary, particularly when it comes to heavy expenditure on one project. And therefore that's where we have had. So they have always kept on, we put the right amount, but they insist that we reduce it so that they can cover other projects, because they also reason that they must have also projects implemented in their wards so that they can also be seen that they are performing. So that's where we have had the issue. As regards variations, I think I have the engineer here in charge of infrastructure, Tunya, who is on the committee that deals with this matter, the technical committee. He can be able probably to react to what we have asked.
Thank you, Chair. This project initially was started in 2016. And then when we re-advertised it in 2020...
This is a thing that's been on the audit reports for the longest time.
Correct, Chair.
It was initially called Doctors Plaza, or it was just Hospital Plaza, because I've seen it all the years.
It's a one, Chair.
It's a one?
Yes.
Okay.
So when we re-advertised, and then NCA came and recommended for retrofitting. Now, we had given it initially 3 years to be complete, but because of that retrofitting, because we had to retrofit all the columns and all the beams, because the initial contractor had done smaller columns and smaller beams. So there was a risk that if we continue the way it was, it could have collapsed. So that retrofitting took a long time to do. Now, and that's why we've had extensions of 12 months and another 12 months. Now, about the pricing, the extensions that the chief officer has given have no budget implication, which means the contractor has accepted to take the extension without any budgetary implication. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Osotsi, any comment on this before we give the way forward?
Chair, this is one of the projects that we discussed during revenue sharing debate, and we said that it is one of the projects that we would want to see completed. My concern is still on the contract, Chair, as you had put it. If we had the contract, then we will be able to get sufficient information about what is happening. Because this project, as the engineer said, at one point it was reported that it could collapse. And then they came in to reinforce and all those things, and then several extension of time, including the latest one, which was done in May last year. So all those are issues that the contract would address. When did the extension take? Was there any implication on interest? So all those details, I would propose that Even though the file was very heavy to be carried, we could still get the file from the county so that we can verify some of the issues that we are raising here.
Chair, I think Senator Otsosi is familiar with ICT. He should encourage his county to have brought even in soft copy. Number two, Chair, listening to the story of this, because I've been with you for some time, and I think Maruma in this committee, this has reappeared severally on audit queries. Is it possible, and I'm worried if he's saying they have been reinforced at some substructure at some point, is it in order when we are doing the North Rift Western to visit this project so that we will make it cheaper for the county? They bring that big file and we are in the hospital, we look at the file as we look at the structure. We look at the file as we look at the structure so that we understand. And Governor, the fact that we gave additional 400 above what the shareable revenue we give you in this fourth basis, you should at least give us a comfort of ring fencing that amount to complete. And I thought, Governor, by now you should be working on your legacy projects because you are now 1 year plus before the next general election. So could it be we visit and the lady would bring us that heavy file? I don't know. But the people from Rwanda area, it's something that can make them easily carry that document, even if it is heavy.
I think you must leave Musala out of this conversation.
And I think, Chair, you know, a doctor's plus is a good project. The person who conceived it, it's a very, very good project. So that you have all the doctors coming, you know, all under one roof. And instead of people of Vihiga going to maybe Kisumu and so on, they would be coming to Vihiga. It would even enhance medical tourism because then you have an influx of people coming for treatment. So it is something that you can give a priority with the money that we appropriated, the affirmative action money. So that is complete, and that would be one of your legacy projects.
Fine. So for us to progress,
by the way, off the cuff.
Yes, Senator.
By the way, now that my good friend Maruma has mentioned the affirmative additional allocation, how did you utilize yours? Because instead of having a tussle with your MCAs, you should have appropriated that money to complete such a project. That way, you empower your senator. Next time is pushing for further affirmative allocation. He has a good case before the Senate. How did you appropriate?
Actually, Senator Otsosi had made that point earlier.
Oh.
He had asked for it, but there seemed to be no clarity. But maybe for the benefit of the senior council.
I hope he didn't go to serve tea and extend part of it to buy bulls for the housewarming of the speaker.
It is part of the 5 million.
Because the intention was, I moved the motion myself. The intention was very noble.
Yes.
So can hear from
yes,
you.
it is true that quite a lump sum amount we have allocated, the money that we received as extra, we have allocated to complete this hospital. And so that's why we have put an estimate by May it should complete. And as of now, they're just doing small fittings, even lifts. They have already fitted lifts. So it's just final finishing. And we hope by latest May we should have.
The affirmative development money was used purely for development purposes.
Not some was used for pending bills, which paying the facilities that were built, like dispensaries, ECD classrooms that were built, had been built, but they had not been paid for.
Okay.
So, Chair, maybe can I get clarity? So the completion date of this project is in May.
Yes, that's when we.
So when are you inviting us when you are commissioning? This one we can come, like for the housewarming, we can come.
Are you expecting a similar expenditure?
Yes, I'm worried, and I hope there will be no food to be served just to commission. Can you confirm to us that by 30th May, the hospital should be up and running? You know the reason I'm saying this, Chair, is I'm a neighbor, and I know if they open with the poor medical services in Nandi, courtesy of his counterpart, the people of Kabwa and Ward will be able to be beneficiary, and we will not come for free. We'll come and pay. So by 30th May, are you confirming before this committee that we come after 30th, we'll get the facility up and running?
I won't be able to confirm because I'm not the contractor, but that's what we have agreed with the contractor that...
Remember, Senator Cherake, this is a project that started in 2016, as stated by the officer. And so I wanted to maybe, Senator Osotsi, so that we give the way forward. And
yeah, I think the county executive, led by the governor, really should try their level best to ensure this project is completed. Because this project, though the query indicates that it was started in May 2021, this project was conceptualized much earlier than that. And there has been this back and forth. So this will be a very good legacy project for governor if it is completed. My only concern is that, there is no clarity because they are saying that they need a further 75 million to complete fully. But what about the equipment, equipping this hospital? Because you can complete and equipping it becomes another challenge. So maybe they could say something about what is the plan on equipping this hospital. Constructing is one thing, but equipping is another thing altogether.
now, can I then, in terms of giving directions, because we don't want to just get political promises here. We want everything that goes on record to be factual. And we have been handicapped because the Auditor General received documents last night. I would have put this question to them. We have also lost visibility of between 2016 and 2021 because you're citing a contract of 2021. It would also be important for us to reflect back and find out how much has this cost right from inception. And the best person to do that is the Office of the Auditor General. I wanted to recommend, number one, the governor must take administrative action on his officers who did not comply with the requirements of the Office of the Auditor General in terms of provision of documents. And when you're coming for our implementation meeting, you must demonstrate what measures you have taken in terms of reorganizing your entity so that we don't get excuses that a file was too big for a two-page document to be extracted. If you're investing in technology, if you're investing in training, if you're investing in people, go back, crack the whip, so that those kind of excuses don't find their way to the national parliament. Number two, the OAG, to carry out a review of this particular project with a view to ensuring lawfulness and prudence. And that review should not be restricted to the current contract. It should start from 2016. At our next meeting on implementation review, we need to understand how much this project has cost from inception to date and the expectation for fitting. What Senator Osotsi is asking for equipping it. Is it going to cost $1 billion, $2 billion by the time it is done? If the Auditor General flags anything that he feels is unlawful or is imprudent in this, then we shall involve the EACC to follow up. So for now, the OAG, please, within those 60 days of implementation, review these documents that came last night and give us an assurance that everything here is lawful and everything here is prudent, failure to which we'll ask the EACC to take up the matter. But I think there are some years back when we had asked the EACC to look into this. Is it a matter under active investigation? The hospital plaza? Has the EACC come to follow this matter up? Because it's been on for the longest, from 2016.
Yeah, EACC came over, but then after that, they never came back to with any report or anything up to date.
Right. So let's ask the Auditor General to do their proper audit and inform us. On that basis, we shall give directions on what we think should be the next course of action.
And Chair, before you just maybe conclude your direction, you know your numbers are not tying up. If you look at the contract sum, which is 395 million, but what has been spent is 223 million. Then the last statement on page 20, you're saying the department has allocated 75 million for completion of the plaza in this financial year. 75 million cannot complete that plaza. Because if you have spent 223 million and the project sum is 395 million, it simply means that 75 million cannot complete that plaza unless my mathematics is not mathing well.
Okay, I want us to manage time, and please take note of the comment by Senator Mwaruma. OAG, you must also look at the numbers and confirm that they are tying up. There is an issue of county aggregation and industrial park, which seems to be a global problem across the 47 counties. I want us to consider the written responses, and we'll make our recommendations on that. Same for Bumira ECD. Now, inconsistency of carriageway on opening and maintenance of roads. In the morning when we...
Maybe before you leave Kipes.
Yes.
I think it's important for this committee to appreciate the fact that this Kipes thing, what is the level of involvement of counties and the national government? Because it looks like many of the project functions are being done by the national government. Would that be a very serious omission? Because we appropriated the money as the Senate, but you see a lot of things in this project are undertaken by the national government. So is this query also coming up in the national government reports?
Okay, so I kind of glossed over it.
So yes, as a government, we expressed our interest, and then it's out of that we were now listed among the counties to benefit. But then we didn't benefit for the first 2 years. It's only this financial year that money has been budgeted for. But the condition was that we had also to budget our own. So we started the program and we budgeted we started with about 50 or 60 million. And from there, we got the project started, but right now is 30% done, and therefore once we receive the 250 from the national government, we should be able to complete the project probably at end of this year or early next year.
Chair, let me just get the percentage properly. Because the project cost is 496 million, and you have expended 52 million on the project. Are you saying you've been able to do 30% with 52 million? 30 million out of 496 million? Or there's a certificate that you are still to pay?
Certificate that is not yet paid. And Chair, allow me, I have the CEC in charge of trade and investment who is here. He can give the details, but there are certificates that are not yet paid.
Make it very brief because we have sat for far too long. We might not be very useful.
Thank you, Chair. The project is on course, and I would want to say that it's true we've expended 52 million onto the project. And this is a co-funded project between the county government and the national government. And in our budget also, we've made allocations in this financial year. And as the governor has indicated, there is an unpaid certificate that will ensure once it's paid and certified, you'll find that the percentage will even go up. So in summary, what you're saying that we are on course, and now that we're in the second phase, And I can also confirm that the National Treasury has written to us requesting our account details, and we are hoping they'll be able to deposit the 250 million as their co-funding, which will enable us even move faster. So we are on
So
course.
for me, Chair, on the needs assessment, the governor has indicated that you needed this project because you have a lot of horticultural produce, vegetables and so on. Which type of vegetables would you be putting under the value addition chain to warrant expenditure of 250 million from the county?
Thank you. Through the chair, the project is a complex design project. There is a NAF-CDP project under the Department of Agriculture in conjunction with the Ministry of Agriculture at the national level that went around counties to choose their priority value chains. So there are priority value chains for Vihiga, and those value chains are being not only promoted but aggregated through cooperatives. And as the governor indicated, we have poultry, we have dairy, we have avocado, we have fresh produce or African leafy vegetables in part of Vihiga. So it is a project in continuum together with other factors. So as it is, probably even the kienyeji you eat in any restaurant in Kenya, especially Nairobi, probably comes from Vihiga. But it is not aggregated, there is no value addition, and that is what now this KIPES project is coming to do.
Yeah. Yep, assuming that's the last one on this or the second last
assuming you are done with
second
your
last.
industrial park, and I visit Vihiga next year, what will be the value addition on the avocado that will be a component of this industrial park?
Thank you, Chair. This is a matter that we can't answer.
No, you should be able.
Now.
What is your vision? You are budgeting 250 million.
And I'll attempt to answer.
Yes,
I'll
and you are
attempt
telling
to
us
answer.
there will be a product, value addition product from the avocado. What will that product be?
In the assessment and under the value chains, as I've told you, there are many things you can do to add value to an avocado.
Boss,
you can process oil.
I want
you
to
can
reach Kisumu straight to Sinipeleka around. Just tell me to end straight to Kisumu.
I would welcome you to come and engage with us with the NAF-CDP report and other reports. But as I've told you,
you have an answer to my question.
And I'm saying yes. That's what I'm agreeing
Can
with
you address the senator through the chair, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'm saying yes, the value addition will be done. And
what will that product be?
And I've said, Chair, we can do avocado oil, we can do even other things from avocado.
So you're going to have in that industrial park, you'll finish it, there'll be a factory that will make avocado oil. Is that what you're telling us?
That is in the value chains, as I've told you. There is a report to it, and we are working continuously with cooperatives to develop the capacity and even interest investors to put it up. Once the facility is complete,
okay, let me make it easier for you. Do you have the BQs for your industrial park?
Yes, the BQs are there.
What will be, once finalized, what will be the installations there that will give you that product you're saying of avocado oil?
It's probably, just to mention, what we are doing is building the basic infrastructure. We are building the environment where an investor now will come to put all those facilities you're saying. So we are doing a basic industrial park.
You're just doing a shell.
That is the BQ that we received.
You see, that's
and that's what we are working
Governor, I want to encourage you and your officers. Not everything can be defended. These senators represent counties. And sitting here, we listen to 46 other governors. You don't just have to tell us a story to justify an expenditure. There is a serious problem with the conception, design, implementation of KIPES. And it is one of those things we'll be asking the Auditor General to do a value for money audit. The only question is whether it can be done before it's concluded, because I don't know whether we should wait for 47 counties to commit 500 million. That is 23 billion. I don't know whether we should wait for counties to commit 23 billion for us to say it was a mistake. Governors have sat there, they have told us, It sounds good, but it was not our priority. It sounds good, but the land required is not reasonable for me, Nairobi or Kiambu. So I think you might have a very good concept, but if it's not implemented well, it's going to be a problem. But I think the verdict is out there, whether that 23 billion could have been used differently if governors were allowed at the earlier stages to be part of the needs identification. Senator Osotsi, maybe we have you as a last speaker on this, then we proceed.
You see, Chair, you know, this is one of the projects that have been thrown to governors to own them, but they are not the real owners of those projects. So I want to agree with you that this Senate needs to make a very substantive decision on these types. But on another note, maybe if the governor can tell us the status of land ownership, because this project has been put in a piece of land owned by Kenya Railways. So have they regularized the ownership of the land so that this project can truly belong to the county government?
You need to confirm that, Governor, otherwise it might go the same way I saw some building owned by railways went next to Nyayo Stadium.
Just allow me the CEC to confirm because he has been dealing with that issue.
Okay. Be very direct on the land ownership question.
Thank you, Chair. We have secured a 40-year lease with the Kenya Railways, and we have made good of the payment. We are to finish the payment of the lease by the end of this year, that is by December. There are milestones within the contract that we entered with them for the lease. So we have secured it for 40 years.
So I think those are dimensions that the OAG should look at when we are doing a value for money audit on this in terms of even land ownership, because we are not strangers in this country. We know there are people who claim to have leases with Kenya Railways, but you still find police coming in at night to bring down their property. We saw that in Kisumu when we were clearing the lakefront. We saw that here in Nairobi. And so it is a risk that is alive. But I think members just wanted to get a feel. You maintained it is a good idea. You maintained that you can do certain things. What you are not clear about is whether from the onset, the design, the BQs, by the time you spend 496 million, all those things will be possible, or you will need more investments to do the avocado processing and all those other things you have said. Now, members, I want us to agree on the things where we'll take written responses and the things that we must prosecute here. In the morning when the OAG was updating us on inconsistency of carriageway on opening and maintenance of roads, the OAG reported that you were awarding contracts to build 4.5 meters of roads. And yet, what was being delivered was 3 meters to 3.5 meters. Now, we asked the OAG to give us the specific details of those projects, because if that was the case, this would be a clear case of theft. OAG, do you have those details of the roads where there is inconsistency on the width ordered, width delivered?
Chair, you'll give me some time, maybe 2 to 3 days to get back and see whether there was a schedule of those roads that were done like this.
Well, but for you to cite it, it means that you came across it, unless it was theory.
Yes.
So you don't have the details, the specific details.
As per now.
Yeah, because we need to know which contract was it, who was the contractor, who was the accounting officer, who was responsible, because if this is confirmed, this is just a matter of investigation and prosecution. I don't think this is a matter that needs to be discussed. It is obviously an illegality if we can find the details to support it. So as you're doing that, are you also going to, on hire of road maintenance equipment, you had said that you got the work plan. They gave you the work plan.
Chair, they gave us the approved work plan with specification of activities
So what is it that we had asked you to do? We had asked you to refer to the KRB or RMLF audits to check whether these roads under that paragraph, there could have been some double accounting.
Yes.
So you are clear on what you need to do.
Yes.
So please do that deeper analysis, and then it will allow us to write our report and seek a resolution of the House. Irregularities of registration of PWDs and approvals of tax exemptions. You confirmed that this has now been resolved?
Yes.
Financial statements for level 4 sub-county hospitals. These will go to